And one of the things that I did, this has been so helpful, was one, I would have conversations with her as if she was there.
Mm.
So I would take solo trips. I'd
Mm-hmm.
go to like Cabo and I would just sit and imagine if Mo was sitting on the couch with me and just having conversations with her, apologizing to her for
Mm.
things that like I did and forgiving her for things that she did. And I would write journal like as if it was a conversation between the two of us. And but one of the things that I did that was super, super helpful, and I would encourage you if you are walking through this right now also, is imagine having a conversation. I have a conversation with Mo in my head
Yeah.
of what would she say to me if she was here right now?
As you know, we use this platform to share stories of resilience. And today I have a very special guest. It's your host, Sally Ellen, again. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Today we have a super special episode, and I know I say this every time, but this episode is so special to my heart, and I'll tell you why. Because I have my dear friend Aaron Hofman. Aaron, welcome to the Sally Ellen
Thanks so
podcast.
much for having me again.
Yes. And the reason why this episode is so special that almost 2 years ago, I recorded a session with Aaron and his wife, Mo Hoffman. And if you're watching this and you know them, you know that Mo has passed. It's almost 2 years since she's passed.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
It's insane.
It's insane. Almost 2 years. And Aaron is just here to share where he's at on his journey in life right now. So, with that, I want to welcome Aaron Huffman, who now, I want to share this and say it right. He helps people navigate life after death. He helps them to strategize how to work through processes and strategies and helps them to go through grief and then move to the next level so that they can continue to live life. Even while they're mourning, you create strategies for them and help them. You never really get over a loss, but how do you move?
Yeah.
And that's what Aaron helps people to do.
Yeah.
So Aaron, with that, welcome to Sally Allen Podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yes.
Grateful. It was awesome.
Yeah, I think so too. And I was really excited because I we talked about this before. I love your energy and I love having you here because you interview so well. So you make me look good.
Well, it's fun. I enjoy doing it. So
Yeah. All right. So with that, where do you want to start? There's so much, and I'll leave it to you. Where do you want to start? What do you want to start sharing with us?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that like it's wild that the last time that we were here, it was to come talk about our story and how we've gone through hard stuff, and then we make it through it. We point people to Jesus. We believe that God's still good, and then 3 months later, Mo's gone. It's just
Yeah,
wild. Like that
yeah.
just blows my mind, and something I never expected. I knew that through the process. I was on sabbatical. I was actually just starting sabbatical at the church. I was still a pastor at the church, and I knew that change was coming, but I just didn't know
What it was.
that it was going to be that.
Yeah.
It was almost like you're like, oh yeah, like maybe my job's changing, or I was even talking with my therapist about it, and we're like, we could both feel changes coming, and then Mo had a stroke, and it was just like, and then 40 days later, she's gone.
Wow. And that was 3 months after we recorded.
3 months.
Yeah.
Wild, yeah. September 14th is when she had her stroke, and I
Yeah.
think that
That episode is really special to me because I remember you guys sharing with me that you've been wanting to share your story
Yeah.
and start talking to people, encouraging them with your story.
Yeah.
And that was the first time you shared it in that format.
Yeah, and I really believe like that was kind of our kids are graduating high school. My daughter's in college, second year. My son's graduating literally May 22nd. And I thought we're moving to this next season of like empty nesters where we're really going to start using our story to help build God's kingdom. And
Yeah.
and now it just looks different. That doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It looks different.
Yeah. Talking about different though, what's happening right now?
So, so much happened. So what's happening right now? So I've been a pastor on staff at a church for 20 years, basically. Kind of been a musician and worship pastor, and When you lose your spouse and you watch them take their last breath, you're kind of faced with the reality of you're not guaranteed tomorrow. Like in the next
Mm.
30 seconds,
Mm.
either one of us could take our last breath.
Mm-hmm.
And it forces you to really go, what am I doing with my time?
Mm.
And and we were both kind of just entering that next season of life where we were going, what do we want to do? Do we want to move to Nashville and pursue songwriting? We were both talking about, you know, getting into the coaching world as far as just kind of helping people who are stuck get unstuck, and maybe doing something when it comes to like a marriage ministry together. And so when she was taken, um, I'm kind of just left there going, okay, so what do I do now? And it almost feels like when somebody, because a lot of people ask me, like, what is it like to lose your spouse? I've kind of described it now like this. It's like Mo and I were about to take a long trip to like New York. We're going to drive across country and
Yeah.
we're going to move to New York, and we pack our car up with all of our stuff. And we're like in the middle of Arizona somewhere, and the car breaks down. And
Mm.
now all of a sudden you're standing outside of the car, and the car broken down is like Mo's death.
Mm.
And you're looking at that car knowing that car's never going to start again. And you're looking ahead towards New
New
York
York?
going, do I want to go there still? And you're looking
Yeah.
back going, do I want to go back? And you're looking out into the desert going, I don't know if I should go that way. You have to go somewhere. And it's like, what do you carry with you? You got to bring some stuff with you. You can't bring everything because you don't,
Right. Wow. That's really powerful,
but you're
Aaron.
just stuck and you're going, what do I do
Yeah.
now? And so I was in that place for quite a while. Um, and through the process of, therapy and community and books and mentors and coaches, I'm now experiencing hope, joy, and purpose like I've never been more excited about life.
Wow.
And so when I needed to tell you that, but I've been a pastor for 20 years basically, and after losing Mo, I was faced with that, like, what are you doing? And I just feel like I've been playing it safe on
Mm-hmm.
some dreams that I've been wanting to pursue for a really long time. And
Yeah.
an entrepreneur is one of those things, and starting a business of helping people get unstuck.
Yeah.
Um,
But before we go into that,
yeah,
I want to go into the human aspect of what you went through. You shared a little bit with me about the various stages that you've been through. For someone, watching this and they're thinking like, I want to hire Aaron as a coach. But to see that side of you and what you've been through and you came out of it, can you tell us a little bit about it? When you told me, um, there were times when I threw the Bible across the room.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so let me take you back to the hospital. So
Yeah.
she has her stroke. I remember, I'll never forget. I walked up to the front door because I had just went to the gym. I came home. I texted her a few times. Opened up the door, and when I opened the door, I knew that my life was never gonna be the same.
Mm.
The blinds are closed in the house, which meant she never came downstairs. So
Yeah.
I go upstairs, open the door. She's not in bed. I'm like, Mo, and I could hear her faint voice say, help.
Man.
We get her to the hospital. She starts making miraculous recoveries. But there was one night we're sitting in the hotel. We're not the hotel. I call it the
Yes.
hotel. Sitting in the
You've been there
hospital.
so long.
Jeez, no joke. We were there a long time.
Uh-huh.
But laying in the hospital, I'm looking at, like, I'm laying here, like, against this window, looking at you, like, right, as if you were her, listening to these worship songs. And this Phil Wickham song comes on. I think it's called Worthy of My Praise. And I don't remember any of the song. I remember thinking, oh, this is a good song. But it gets to the bridge, and it says, well, I actually wrote the lyrics here, but it says, when I sat by that hospital bed, you were worthy. When she could barely lift her head, you were worthy. And after all these tears are shed, you're worthy. I'll never stop singing your praise. I'll never stop singing your praise. And it was like God was so tangible to me in that moment. It was like, she's going to make it. We're going to wheel her across the stage. For sure, we are the people that go through hard stuff, but we are going to point people to
Yeah.
you through this process. And then she was taken. And so my faith obviously was completely rocked, turned upside
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
World is turned upside down. You're going, what do I do now? And it was October 25th, a year later.
Mm.
I was with my therapist, and she said, hey, I want you to get away and just carve some time out to where you can spend some time with the Lord. And I was like, okay. And I knew that I was going to find that song and listen to it. I didn't listen to it for the last year, but there were times where I literally like I tried to read, I could toss it off. I
Yeah.
could go to church, I could be around people, but it was just hard for me to have conversations with God. And so
Yeah.
now I'm floating around in this little boat at the lakes. My buddy, he's their little boat, and I'm listening to all these songs that I had listened to, and all of a sudden that song comes back on, and man, I fall apart.
Mm.
And the crazy part is, I didn't remember the first verse. I couldn't even tell you what it was, but that first line of the song says, "I'm gonna sing till my heart starts changing. I'm gonna worship till I mean every word, because the way I feel and the fear I'm facing doesn't change who you are or what you deserve. I give you my worship because you
Aaron,
deserve it."
if people say you don't hear from God, that's such a lie.
And it was, but my
So
life is, I literally want to
tangible.
write a book called like God Moments, and it's just
Yes.
things that
So
he
tangible.
does where you go, there's no way that could have happened unless
And
somebody was
then so
orchestrating this.
yeah.
But he met me there in the hospital, gave me
Yes.
that song,
Yeah.
knowing what I was going to go through the next 12 months,
Mm-hmm.
and was going to meet me on the boat and remind me of that song. And the interesting part was, I was tossing him off to the side, and he was saying, "Hey, Aaron, I was there then, and I'm
I'm
here
here
with you
now.
now, and I've been there through the last 12 months."
Yeah.
But that was really the change for me, where I was like, okay, Lord, like, I mean, it was so like, you just can't describe it other than the fact that he showed up, and
Yeah.
he was like, "But I've been here, but there's a part that you have to do, Aaron."
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna sing till I mean every word. I'm gonna worship till it.
Goosebumps.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yes.
but then it gets to
Yeah.
that part again, and it says, "When I sat by that hospital bed, you were worthy. When she could barely lift her head, you were worthy. After all these tears are shed, you're worthy. You'll never stop singing your praise." It's like, again, he gave it to me then, but when I listened to it a year later, it was like he knew that she was going to be going to
Yeah.
heaven.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Anyway, so it's just
Anyway, wow.
pretty
Wow.
wild.
Thank you for sharing that. I think
Yeah.
that part is so powerful, Aaron.
Yeah.
Just how God just I love the word you used when you shared this with me before. He tangibly showed up.
Yeah.
Just showed up.
And in so
And
many,
then
even throughout the year, so
yeah,
many different times.
so many different times he showed up. So so you walk us through, because I know as a coach you're helping people through this, but walk us through your process, what you've done, what some of the things you've worked through and how you've worked through that, and what some of the processes that you used.
Yeah. I mean, like, first of all, I was helping people navigate life after loss. One of the things that I was encouraged, and I would encourage other people to do, is I made 5 things that I wasn't going to do. I wasn't going to get married. I wasn't going to buy a Porsche. I wasn't going to sell my house, quit my job, or move out of state in the first
Yeah.
12 months.
Right.
And some people would say, "Oh, you should do that in the first 2 years." But it's like, I chose 5 months and, or 12 months. And so that was one of the things that I did that I think was wise. Another thing that it is, I got into therapy,
Mm.
and just be able to, share exactly what I'm feeling or what I'm going through
Yeah.
with that person who had the tools to help me. Also, had coaches
Yeah.
who, were walking me through the gaps that I was facing of making decisions to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just, yeah, I mean, those were some of the things that I did. I think I'm blanking right now, but
No, it's okay. It's okay. There's one thing I want you to talk about though, because you make some powerful videos on TikTok.
oh, cool.
And one of the things you talk about in one of your videos was how to be there for people when
Yeah.
they're going through that. And that
Yeah,
really
that's
struck
true.
me.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting how, like, you may not have lost your spouse, but you know somebody who has lost their spouse.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And but I've had a lot of conversations with different widows and widowers, and we all experience the same type of stuff, which is like, people just don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And so helping that community go, like, hey, like, it's important for us to have a little bit of grace, but at the same time, like, one of the things that I'm helping people now say is, a great thing to ask somebody is, how are you doing today?
Yeah.
So many questions that we get is like, hey, how you doing? And it's like, what do you mean? Like, in the last
And
3 months, in the last 12 months, last
I remember you
today?
talking about
And
that.
it's
How are
like,
you
no, how
doing
am I doing today?
today?
Like
Yeah.
today, I can answer that. I'm doing really good.
Right.
Or like, what do you need? And it's like, I don't know what I flipping need.
Need? Right,
I
right,
don't
right.
like some Cinnabons. I don't know, right? Like, but you don't really know what you need. But it's like helping
Yeah.
people go, okay, hey, like write a list. You do know what you need. There are some massive things that you do need. And so
Right,
like what
right.
are the things that you need in the next 2 weeks? What are the things that you need in the next 6 months, in the next
Mm.
12 months?
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's somebody to come and like clean your house or like
Yeah.
laundry service or like Grubhub or, and so lots of people want to bring stuff over to your house, but
It's overwhelming.
it is overwhelming and you don't want to
Yeah.
have like grandma's lasagna every night for the next 6 months. And so,
Yeah.
so there's like little things
Yeah.
that people can do to help and giving that kind of information to widows and widowers who are just now going through this process.
Yeah.
It takes some of the decision making out of, takes some of that pressure off the decision making because there's so much, all the responsibility becomes yours.
Yeah.
And so, one of the things is not getting overwhelmed with all of it and just like seeing it like a pizza and just taking one
Taking
slice
one
at a
slice
time.
at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
simple, it's simple things. But man, when you're standing outside of that car that's broke down, you
Yeah.
don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I'm helping people do is create mission, vision, and values for their life. So they may not know what they're going to do when they wake up tomorrow, but if I can help them create new values,
Yes.
when they wake up, they know at least I can funnel my decisions through these values right here.
Yes. Yes.
And your values can change, but like, hey, let's
Right.
create some values and let's create it's basically like a restart program.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
I use that a lot with my clients. In fact, I just created a deck of value cards.
Nice.
Good idea.
Yeah, no joke.
Yeah, yeah. I created a deck, and I actually, because we live in Las Vegas, I did an actual deck of cards.
Oh, you did? That's cool.
But in the back, it has the value words.
I love that.
Yeah, and then I walk them through the process of coming up with their 5 values.
It's so good.
So I think it's so important to live a value-driven life because what do you funnel your decisions through when you have decisions to make if you don't have a foundation?
Isn't it so easy for us to not? We often just kind of like float through life unintentionally. And
Yeah.
it's like, man, just like carving a little bit of time out and just thinking through, what do I want?
Yeah.
And what are my values? It really helps you kind of get to some places that you want to go.
Well, tell us how did you? I know you had coaches and you had therapists and you were talking to people, but when did you find out? Man, I kind of know what I want because it didn't look like the way I thought it would be.
I was having a conversation with one of our executive pastors, and I was blessed to have a job that gave me grace through the process
Yeah.
of that 12 months. And
We have an awesome church.
we do. It's an
Yeah.
amazing church. And I was talking with him, and I feel like I've been like this bird in a nest that is like looking out over the valley
Uh-huh.
and like going, man, that looks really exciting over there. But I just don't know if I jump out of this, if I'm going to be able to fly or not.
Mm.
And he kind of like posed this question. It's like, hey, what would it look like if your role was this way instead of being on staff this way, and like as a contractor versus an employee.
Right.
And it's always kind of a thing that I've feared, but I've always thought of. And losing Mo, I just kind of got to the place where I was like, what do I have to lose?
Mm.
I would rather fail trying than
Yeah.
regret it at the end of my life. And something happened one day where I was just like, I'm not going to regret this at the end of my life that I didn't try something.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that I've done is and I think a lot of people do this, teachers kind of destroy you in school growing up and you don't even realize it.
Mm. Mm.
But you end up going to other people and asking them what their opinion is on the ideas that you have.
Yeah.
And you base your decision off of what other people say that you should do instead of going, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And so I was working with a coach doing a life plan, and one of the processes was talking through like, what is it? What are your values and what do you want? And I was like, man, I need to. I don't want one of the things that I want is I want to be able to work anywhere in the world, whenever I want, whoever I want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to travel. I want the freedom to be able to do that. And And that's scary because it's not guaranteed, right?
Right,
There's
right.
so much uncertainty, but I've never
Yeah.
been more uncertain. There's so much uncertainty, but I've never been more certain
Certain. I love it.
about a
I love
decision I've
it.
ever made.
Yeah.
And so I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Wow.
So excited.
That is so good. So there is something I wrote it down here.
Yeah.
I love what you said, and you kind of glazed over it, but I think it's so powerful for people to hear this, that when when you're thinking about making a decision, especially a big jump,
Mm-hmm.
that even before you share it with anyone, you have to wrestle with it first.
Yeah.
And what do we want to do as soon as we think about doing something exciting? We want to
Go tell people.
We want to tell people.
Yeah.
And what happens? Talk to us. What happens when their voices start penetrating our thoughts?
I think it's important who are the voices that you're going to allow into your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's crucial to have.
Yeah.
I think it's I've worn my heart on my sleeve, so I talk to everybody. I tell them everything. And one of the things that I've realized through the last 10 years, but really in the last 2 years, is who are those voices
That's right.
that I'm going to allow to speak truth to it, that I trust, that want my best interest. I'll tell you, I did a little exercise, and it was basically like, do you think I'm vocationally in my sweet spot? Another one of the questions was, what would you want to say to me as I go into my future? And I was supposed to send it out to like 4 people.
All right.
I sent it to 30 of the, and I really do have 30 people that I would allow to speak into my life.
Right.
Sent it to 30 people, and that was the most eye-opening thing that I ever did in my life. It really was, because every single one of them said the same thing. I know what my strengths and what my weaknesses are, right? Like, I'm not super organized. I'm a big vision person. It's like, get excited, let's go. But I'll tell you, every one of them said the same thing. I would hate for you basically I would hate for you to be in the same place that you are, because I just believe that you have so much more to give, basically.
Wow.
And it was just like, that was the thing where I was like, I can't, I either have to believe what they say,
right,
or they're lying.
Yeah.
And so I've chosen to say, I believe this is how they see me. And if that's true, then I can't stay where I'm at anymore. I have to step into this.
So there's that component of it, what I'm hearing you say. So one, we have to be careful of the voices we listen to. I feel it's important to sit with your decisions and wrestle with God. But two, when you don't have that belief in yourself, you borrow belief from other people.
Yeah.
And that's what you did. Like, even though I don't believe it right now, and rightly so, like, where do you get that headspace after what you've been through to even think of moving forward or having a big vision like that?
And I feel like this has always been a vision that we've had.
Yeah.
It's just that there's been this lack of belief, and I didn't believe how people saw me. So they had a belief in me that I didn't have.
Yes.
And so I had to renew my mind and go, this is either true or it's not.
Yes.
These people are either lying to me or they're not. And I chose to believe that this is who I am. And so I'm now, I'm taking action on who I am, not on who people see me to be. Does that make sense?
Oh, say that again. Say that again.
Yeah, so I'm believing how people see me. I believe that those things are true about who I am. I believe that I am wired up and gifted in all these different ways.
Yes.
And I now believe that for myself, and I'm stepping into that. And
Yeah, until you build your own beliefs. If you need to keep borrowing theirs, and continue whatever you need to do. But anyone listening to this, I think that's such a great process to have such wonderful people in your life. Surround yourself with people who can pour into you until you have the capacity to pick up and believe what they're pouring into you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of haters out there.
Oh my God. We know that. But as you continue to build your confidence, I know, for me, I know as I continue to build my confidence, I know that it doesn't matter as much what they say, because those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind.
Exactly. And I also think too, it's like, this has been a big one for me. It's like, where you put your attention, where you put your focus is what you're going to get.
You're going to get. So focus on the 50 positive comments instead of the one negative comment.
Yeah, and so often we're looking at the negative comment. It's like,
why can't you all like me 100%? I got 99 over here.
Yeah, exactly. It's insane. It's insane. So.
Yeah, it's insane. Okay, so is your your business fully operational, up and running?
Yeah, I'm up and running. So I'm taking on clients now. And so I've opened an LLC, and
Yeah.
we're going for it.
And you're rocking and rolling.
Rocking and rolling.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
So what's happening now? What's next for you?
Well, it's crazy. Through the process of losing Mo, so I'll back up a little bit. But the process of losing Mo, one of the things that widows and widowers think about, and honestly, pretty early on, is like, man, like this is not what I was expecting, but like, how do you even begin to find somebody
Yeah. Yeah.
moving forward, right? Like, what does dating look like in 2023 or 2022, right? And
Because you've been married for how many years?
I was together with her for 25 years. I thought we were married 22, and it was like, and all of a sudden she's just gone. I'm like, okay, now what do I do? And anyway, so it was probably, I don't know, it was Christmas Eve. I'm at church, and for whatever that day, I was thinking, like, how do you even find somebody? So I'm sitting in the green room, and I'm sitting next to this girl, Jocelyn, and I was thinking, man, I think she's literally the only person I'd consider dating at this church. And I was not like ready at all, but for whatever reason that day I just happened to be thinking, like, how do you even move forward? And I have friends that are all over the country, and people are going to want to, people try to set you up, right? And it's like, I don't want to be set up, and I don't want to move to like Dallas, Texas or somewhere and be set up with somebody. I like Vegas. And so I'm sitting in the green room, I see this person. Obviously I'm not ready to date. I have no idea if she'd be interested, but I was like, I think she's the only person I consider dating. 10 minutes later, I'm in service, and I'm sitting with my daughter and my son, and the girl walks out on stage, and my daughter points at her and says, do you know what Mom said about Jocelyn? And I was like, when? She said, well, when about a year ago when she was going through cancer, she had breast cancer. I said, no, what'd she say? She said, if there's somebody that would want you to model your life after, it'd be Jocelyn. And like, I'm telling you, the hair on my neck stood up, and I was like, are you serious?
Oh my gosh.
And she goes, yeah. And Sally, I didn't remember this. I didn't remember this when I was talking to Jocelyn in the green room. I didn't remember it while I was sitting there. It wasn't until Maddie said it to me that I had a conversation with Mo also. We were sitting in the second row at church on the right-hand side where we always sit, and the band's coming out on stage. We're waiting for service to start, and Mo says, hey, this is a weird question, but if I ever passed away, would you get remarried? And I was like,
This is a setup.
I was like, dude, I'm like, I don't know, should I answer this? Right?
This is a setup.
And I was thinking, but then I really sat there and I went, I thought if I passed away, would I want her to get remarried? And I was like, absolutely, I'd want her to. So I said, yeah, if I was young, I probably would. And I said, and if something ever happened to me, I hope that you would. And I just thought that was the end of it. And she goes, yeah. And she points at the stage and she goes, yeah, I can see you marry somebody like Jocelyn.
No way.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
I'm dead serious. But I didn't remember that until Maddie said it. So then I tell Maddie, I go, that's crazy, man. This is what Mom said to me. And she goes, she did? And I said, yeah.
Wow.
And before that, Maddie was like, I never want you to date Dad. But after that, Maddie said to me, Dad, Jocelyn's the only person I'd be okay with you dating. So obviously, I'm not ready to start dating.
Right.
I have this information now, and I'm going,
what do I do with it?
And like, we were friends. We've known each other for 5 years. But so then we kind of start talking back and forth a little bit here and there. And then I was processing with like, our senior pastor and his wife, and our executive pastor and his wife, my therapist. And then Jocelyn became somebody that I was like processing with as a friend.
Yeah.
And then over a period of time, I was like, I don't know, man, I kind of like enjoy talking to her.
Yeah.
Well, it was 4 months after Mo passed, a nurse shows up to my house and she says to me, hey, did I ever tell you what Mo said the day that she died? She was bringing us a meal, and I was like, no. They revived Mo after she passed. She had coded, and they brought her back. I just thought her heart was beating. She goes, no, she was awake and she was talking. And I'm pausing to say this because one of the hardest parts was I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to her.
Yeah.
So she says, Mo looks at the nurse and says, please tell Aaron that I'm sorry because I'm passing away.
Oh.
And that I love you.
Oh.
And that was one of the most incredible blessings that I ever got.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to do was call and tell Jocelyn, because she was processing with me.
Yeah,
and so I leave like 3 voice notes for her, and I'm completely falling apart every time I share it. And finally she responds. You can tell that she was crying. She was like, are you alone? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, where are you? And I was freaking out because I hadn't been alone with another female in 25 years. So she shows up to where I'm at. We hang out and we have dinner for about 5 hours or however long it was. And I just remember going like, I never thought I'd ever be in this situation.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, do you want to hear something crazy? And she was like, what? And so I tell her what Maddie said, and I tell her what Mo said.
Right.
And I said, I'm not ready to start dating. I just said, but when I am, I just want you to know that I'm going to pursue you. And so if you have any interest at all, I know other guys are going to pursue you, so maybe wait for me. And
Yeah.
anyway, so it's been almost 2 years that Mo's been gone, but her and I got engaged 2 weeks ago.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Congratulations, Aaron.
It's so
Wow.
insane. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
congratulations.
Thank
It's
you.
just amazing how God just orchestrated it all.
I know.
Give you such peace of mind.
Yeah, it feels like he's bringing beauty from the ashes,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, my most important thing to me is my kids. And
Yes.
what I wanted, I didn't want my kids to be happy for me because they want me to be happy.
Right. Right.
I want them to love who I'm with.
Yes.
And the coolest thing that ever happened was I proposed. My daughter and my son were a part of it. And Jocelyn's sister was a part of it. And then we went and had dinner. And as we were sitting at dinner, my son walks up to Jocelyn and gives her this big hug.
Oh.
And she loves his hugs. And then Maddie comes up and hugs her. And she says to her, you'll be at my wedding and you'll hold my babies.
Oh man, you make me cry.
And it's just like, that was so
Wow.
special.
Yeah.
Because nothing's ever going to replace Mo. And
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
the most unbelievable person ever. But there could not be a better blessing that God could have ever given me than a second chance at
It's
love
almost
with
like she
Jocelyn.
set you up.
I know, and it's just like, leave it
It's just
to
like-
Mo. Mo was so good at like, she's like,
Making
leave it
everything
to her to
happen.
like orchestrate who I end up marrying.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy.
But she loves my kids, and my kids
Yeah.
love her, and it's very special.
So for a widow watching this, would you say, did you feel any guilt? Did you feel bad? What would you say to them if they're watching this and they're thinking, man, I'd like to move forward. How do I move forward?
Yeah, absolutely. You're processing all of that, right?
Yeah.
And some people do, and some people don't.
Yeah.
And I experienced all that. There was things that I loved about Mo, and there was things that I didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wish that she could be here today so that we could work through like some of those things, right? Like
Yeah.
knowing what I know now. And but I definitely had like guilt. I remember sitting on a Saturday morning and it was just like so peaceful. And it was the first time, maybe I've been like, I don't remember how many months after, but I was just sitting there just going, man, this is like, I'm happy. And I almost felt weird being happy. I felt guilty being happy.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I did at this has been so helpful was one, I would have conversations with her as if she was there.
Mm.
So I would take solo trips.
Mhm.
I'd go to like Cabo and I would just sit and imagine if Mo was sitting on the couch with me and just having conversations with her, apologizing to her for
Mhm.
things that like I did and forgiving her for things that she did. And I would write journal like as if it was a conversation between the two of us. And but one of the things that I did that was super, super helpful, and I would encourage you if you are walking through this right now also, is imagine having a conversation. I have a conversation with Mo in my head of what would she say to me if she was here right now?
Mm.
And she 100% would be like, dude, what are you doing? You need to
Right.
pull up your pants and start moving forward. Not like, it's not
Yeah.
moving on. It's not forgetting her.
Right,
She's never
right.
going to be forgotten.
Exactly.
Right? Like
Moving
our
forward.
story will continue forever, but it's
Yeah.
like, hey, Aaron, like you got kids, you have a whole life ahead of you, however long that is,
Yeah.
and go after your dreams and like,
Yeah.
you know,
So one of the things I want to touch on that you said, I think it's really important for the healing process, because I had another person who had lost her husband share this too, that it's okay to acknowledge that there were things that you like and there were things that you didn't like. And she said, for example, I don't miss the snoring.
no,
Right? She was sharing that with me, and I'm like, it gives people permission.
yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
it's crazy what our mind will do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like so crucial, renew your mind. And no, it's true. Like Mo loved to like keep everything. And it was just like, and I still am like, it took a long time before I even went through the closet, and the
Yeah.
stuff's still
Yeah.
in the garage.
Yeah.
And so like we're, doing some cool stuff with it, but like, but there's stuff in the garage that like, like we have hundreds of books that we've never read in 25 years. And I'm just like, I don't, but like there's just this weird thing where you feel guilty like
Guilty.
getting rid
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
And but now I'm past that now where I'm like, I'm getting rid of these
Yeah.
books. She's like up there telling Jesus. She's like, Lord, look what he's doing. That's mine, Lord. That is mine.
I love
He's
it.
like, relax.
Yeah. 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 It's
So,
just books. It's just books.
but I'm telling you, if she was here, she'd be like, I do not miss this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And so no.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
no, we had a incredible marriage, and obviously, like nobody has a perfect marriage, and
Right.
there
Right.
was amazing times and there was really hard times.
Yeah.
But I will say, in that I said this at the memorial, but man, the 40 days that she was in the hospital was the most unbelievable time of our 25-year relationship.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And so,
Wow.
yeah.
And what a gift.
Yeah.
For God to give you that.
For me, for my kids,
Right.
for her family, like so much healing took place, all kinds of things. And
Yeah. And what did she used to say? Verify yourself?
yeah, I would walk in the hospital, she'd be like, verify, because she didn't want somebody to come and, steal her or something. She's like, verify yourself, Aaron Hofman. And no,
Yeah.
but just, but yeah, but I really think, so I have these conversations with myself about what would she say to me?
Mm-hmm.
And she 100% would say, I want you to be happy. I want you
Yeah.
to move forward. I want you to remarry. I want you to make our kids' dreams come true. I want you to
Yeah. Yeah.
pursue your dreams.
Yeah.
I
I
want you
love
to
that.
continue pursuing the Lord and telling our story.
Yeah.
And
And
so-
I love that you're doing it. You've taken all these steps to get to where you are today, and I see you have so much value to add to people and to help them. But if someone's watching today and they've had a loss and they're still going through it and they're still processing through it, what do you say to them?
They're still processing through it. I believe that we're made to do hard things,
Mm-hmm.
and don't be overwhelmed with all of it, and just take one thing at a time. And so, but don't run away from it. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the
Mm-hmm.
hardest things for me was I was capturing content in the hospital, and I was posting these videos of her recovery because I just truly believed that she was going to make it. So one of the hardest things is to watch those videos.
Mm.
And so when I went on one of my trips to Mexico by myself, which was just a trip to process, to literally walk into the fire
Yeah.
and deal with it. And so one of the things that I did was not allow it to keep me there. The whole point of going into the fire with it is to deal with it right there so that you can continue moving forward.
Right.
It's not forgetting it,
Right.
but it's like, it can't keep me there. It can't keep me
That's
stuck. Right. And so like I forced myself to watch those videos because she wanted so bad to be healed and go back to her old life.
Yeah.
And knowing like the pain and what she had to go through only for her to be taken away is one of the things that just really, really messed me up with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I don't understand. I don't know. And the other thing is I don't know what tomorrow holds. I can't see what's on the other side of this wall right here.
Yeah.
But I know the only reason I can take another breath right now is because God's allowing me to, which means that he's not done with me yet.
Yeah.
And then if he is the creator of all things, that he knows what's on the other side of this wall, and he's already there, and he's preparing me for what I'm walking into. And so I just try to we're all 2 steps away from messing our life up. And so just
Yeah, that's right.
one
One
step in
decision
front
away.
of the other,
Yeah. Yeah.
one step in for the other, right?
Yeah.
Take one bite at a time of the pizza until it's eaten. Like, if you need to watch the videos.
Yeah.
Process those. And for me, it's, there's so many different things that you've got to walk through.
Mm-hmm.
And, but it's not allowing it to keep you stuck.
Yeah.
And kind of just walking into it, hitting it head on.
Yeah. I feel like there's
With people and support.
Yeah. there's a three-part process that I help my clients with, which is the feel part, and that's what you're talking about. Walking through the fire is
Yeah.
the feel
Yeah.
part,
Exactly.
and then you got to get to the deal part where you got to deal with that. So
Yeah.
the feelings and whatever you're
Yeah.
feeling, whether you need to go to a therapist or whatever you need to do, and then comes the healing.
Yes.
And the healing can't come until you do the feel and the
Absolutely.
deal.
And a lot of
Yeah.
and we tend to stuff our feelings
Yeah.
and to
Yeah.
not deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, you'll look back in 10 years and you'll be in the same place.
Oh, totally.
And I
Totally.
just don't I don't want that.
Yeah.
And I know that that's what people do.
Mm-hmm.
And I've walked through that and I'm experiencing, but literally I can honestly say like, and I'm going to vlog. I'm going to put my life out online so that
Yeah.
people can see like, does this guy, I want to help people who are stuck and unstuck. I want to help
That's
people
right.
navigate life after loss,
That's right.
to find hope, joy, and purpose. And it's like, if you look at my videos, do you see that I have hope, joy, and purpose? Because
Yes.
you'll know if I'm not. If I'm lying, you're going to know it.
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
if that's what people are looking for, then I want to help them get there. Because
Yeah.
yeah, this is the worst thing I ever had to go through in my life.
Yeah.
Um,
And would you say, even though you're moving forward, sometimes you're gonna take two step backwards?
yeah,
Yeah, there are times when you're gonna, some memory's gonna hit you or something's gonna hit you, and you're like, what just happened?
yeah, I was my one of my family members sent me a picture today of, Mo sitting with our dog on her lap and holding a cup of coffee and they're like, I'm just having a really hard time right now. I'm like, I know. I keep saying it's just strange. It's just weird. It's just like
Yeah, yeah,
it's just a weird deal. But again, I got to go, what would she want me to do? What would God want me to do?
yeah.
And not allowing that to keep me there. So don't pretend like this didn't happen or this
That's right.
didn't exist.
Yeah.
But don't allow it to be the thing that keeps you there.
That's the key, Aaron, what you just said. What's those one or two things that's gonna help you move forward when you take that step backward? And for you, it's what would she want you to do?
Yeah.
What would God want you to do? And that reminds you. So that's actually a really good reminder for people that have that whatever it is. For Aaron, it's obviously what would God want you to do, what would Mo want you to do, but I think that's key. That just hit me like
Yeah.
that's the key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What they want you to do.
Yeah.
Wow. This was really good. I think this coaching you're doing is so needed.
I'm so excited.
Because one of the key things you just said is that some people are stuck there and they don't move on.
I know.
They don't know how, though. I'm telling you something.
No, they don't.
People don't know how to move on, and for you to walk him through that and guide him through it, I think that's going to be so powerful.
Yeah, and I was blessed to have people walk me through that and coach me through that process. But I literally like that. I hope that analogy of standing outside the car.
Yes.
The car that's broken
so
down.
So powerful.
Because I went to a widowers retreat in Atlanta. It's called Refuge for Widowers, incredible organization. And I just had conversation after conversation after conversation. And it's just like, we don't know what to do next. Like, so the guy, like I was talking to guys that have been through this for a long time and you can see where they're at. But these young guys, they're just like, and they're all young. There's nobody, when you think of a widower, you think of like somebody who's like later in life. And it's like, man, I believe that there's 11 million widows and 4 million widowers in the United States right now. I don't know exactly where that number came from, but like, but I just thought, man, there's a lot of people who need some help.
Yeah, and the key is because tell me what I need to do next because I can't think. I don't have the mental capacity.
I remember seriously, like 1 month or 2 months after, just being like, I would have paid somebody a lot of money.
Yeah.
To help me navigate this over the next 12 months. Just like, hey, this is like, hey, here's what you're about to walk into. Here's what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Here's what's going to happen next. What do you do with all the mail? What do you do when you're trying to find all the passwords of the person?
Yeah.
What do you do when they were the person who, set all the doctor's appointments or did the FAFSA signups for like college? Or what do you do when they did all the track, when they signed your kids up for track and like when they did all the shopping, when they did what do you do? Yeah. And it's like, all of that becomes your responsibility. It's so overwhelming. Yeah. It literally just
paralyzes you. Right?
Yeah, you lay in bed and you're scrolling on Instagram and TikTok trying to find hope.
Yeah.
And so like that's why I'm making those videos. That's hopefully it resonates with
Yeah.
somebody to where we
Keep
can start.
making those videos. It
Yeah.
resonates with me. I love watching those videos.
Well,
I
thanks.
just love watching them.
Appreciate it.
So, yeah, and I send them to friends that I know that need that stuff. So, definitely keep posting those.
And that was the cool part too, was you may not have experienced it yourself, but you know somebody
You
who
know, somebody who
has.
has experienced it.
So
Yeah.
create value-based content that anybody can share with somebody who's going through this. Because
Yeah.
if you love somebody, you're going to share something with them that's going to help them.
Exactly. Exactly. And you're doing just the right thing. And I see you helping like millions of people.
Thank
You're
you.
going to help so many people, Aaron.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so thankful you're being so vulnerable and sharing your story. And is there any parting thoughts? You know, we went parting thoughts way back, and then we're going back to parting thoughts again
Parting thoughts. If you
because
know
it was so good.
somebody who's walking through
Yeah.
the life after loss journey and they could use help, have them reach out to me. You can reach out to me on my Instagram that will be on the screen here, and just DM me the word move forward, and I'd love to be able to have a conversation with you and just help as
Yeah.
many people as I can.
Yeah. Aaron has such a big heart, and his heart is to help people and help them move forward. So I highly recommend him. His coaching is excellent. And thank you again, Aaron, for being on our podcast. And with that, friends, it's a wrap.